U.S. citizens, natural-born U.S. citizens, are now being detained by ICE. These are called collateral arrests. Actually, I have an appointment right now, which I'm going to be late for because I am so disturbed by what I have read. I read an emergency motion filed in my hometown of Chicago in the Northern District of Illinois in front of a judge that I've been in front of many times, in front of a judge that I've actually talked to outside of the courthouse because we've done some extracurricular work together, and it is so disturbing. I don't even know what to make of it, but what we need to do is we need to talk about what are the things that you can do in order to mitigate the risk that either you or a family member or a friend or a colleague that you care about that, quote, fits the profile of these detainees to either get out of detention as quickly as possible or to avoid being detained altogether. So in Chicago, this man, 54 years old, was born and raised in Chicago, Illinois, was walking along the street, minding his own freaking business when he was arrested without a warrant by ICE. He had proof of his U.S. citizenship in his wallet, but they confiscated his wallet, threw him into a white van, and detained him with other detainees for 10 hours. At no point during this 10-hour period did they explain to this man why he was arrested. Eventually, they looked at his wallet, discovered that he was in fact the U.S. citizen that he had been claiming he was for 10 hours, and let him go. When his lawyers contacted ICE to be like, hey, what the heck? He's a U.S. citizen. Why did you do this? They are now claiming they have no knowledge of or record of this detention. So do you see what's happening? They are detaining illegally, unconstitutionally U.S. citizens off the street. And then when they realize they've made a mistake, they are claiming they have no knowledge of the detention. So at this point, if you are not a white U.S. citizen, you are at risk. You are at risk of being illegally detained as a collateral arrest. Now, under the law, yes, ICE agents do have the ability to arrest people without warrants, but they are under very specific conditions, which they are obviously not paying attention to or caring about. What are you able to do to mitigate that risk in an environment that clearly has no respect for the law? Number one, you need to be carrying evidence of your U.S. citizenship or your legal residency here in the United States anytime you are out of your house. There are things called passport cards, which are the size of a driver's license. They're much cheaper than a full actual passport, so you don't have to feel uncomfortable about carrying your passport everywhere you go. It's a passport card. You could apply for one. You need to do it in person, but if you can get your hands on one of those and you're a U.S. citizen, you should do that. If you are a green card holder, obviously you should be carrying that around with you everywhere you go. You probably already do that, but in case you don't, that's something you should be doing. Honestly, especially for my immigrant parents who, my dad has the thickest accent ever. You guys know this about my father, okay? I'm so worried about him that I'm actually thinking of like getting him a passport card and fucking making him wear it around his neck. The thing you can do is if you see somebody being arrested, you are in their vicinity. That means you can very quickly become a, quote, collateral arrest. What you need to do is you need to pull out your phone and do not pull up your camera app. You need to pull up your TikTok live app, your Facebook live app, your Instagram live app, your YouTube live app. It needs to be live, okay? Because they can get your phone and delete that shit. But if it's live, then we all know that the folks of these communities will do their job to protect you. Finally, this is probably the worst part of all of this. If you are non-white and you are not a U.S. citizen, so if you are not white and or you are not a U.S. citizen, in other words, you can be white and not be a U.S. citizen. If you are in either of those categories, then you need to really consider whether this trip you want to take to Cancun or Mexico or even to Europe or Asia or Thailand, is that extremely necessary right now? We are living in an environment where everything's extremely unstable. We have no idea what this administration is going to do in terms of the laws that are coming out of our judges. Those are actually laws. Okay, these court orders are laws. Are they going to follow them? Are they going to continue to flout them? Is somebody going to do something to fix this situation in the near term? We may have to act like this for the next 4 years, but it's also very possible that in the next 3 months, some laws come out, some court order comes out. We start seeing that the Trump administration is willing to respect at least a shred of law. We may not, but we may. But in the meantime, all I'm saying is, think twice about that travel, because the minute you have to re-enter the United States, they are going to be asking you for your documents. They're going to be asking you for proof. And the thing about this administration is they often detain first, ask questions later. Okay? So if you do not want to be in that situation, the best thing you can do is to not leave the United States, subjecting you to extra scrutiny. But if you have to travel, or if you really want to take that risk, then make sure you have every I dotted and T crossed. Bring your freaking birth certificate if you need to, if you were born here in the United States. Even if you are a white U.S. citizen, if you know somebody who doesn't fall into that category, who either is the wrong color, is in fact an immigrant, or, has immigrant family members, or even if they're a white U.S. citizen, has the wrong last name, all of those things, these are the clues that ICE is using in order to merit their warrantless arrests. So please share this information with them as well.